Are wizards still defined by their exhaustive study of magic's inner workings, summoning the mightiest spells in the multiverse?
Find out if the wizard class holds up in the D&D 2024 Player's Handbook. What's going on, YouTube? I'm the Mind Flayer Slayer.
And they call me Dr. DM, and today we're going through the 2024 Player's Handbook Wizard. That's right, we're going to cover this class from level 1 to level 20, let you know what's changed from 2014 to 2024, and stick around to the end because we'll give you our tier ranking for this class when we conclude. But first, anytime during this video, go down to the comments below and let us know who do you think is going to play the wizard using the new 2024 Player's Handbook. Myself or the Mind Flayer Slayer? If you're right, you're gonna get a heart for your comment automatically. All right, let's get started at level 1.
Spellcasting. As a student of arcane magic, you've learned to cast spells.
Spellcasting ability. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability for your wizard spells.
Spellcasting focus. You can use an arcane focus or your spellbook as a spellcasting focus for your wizard spells.
I like the cut of your jib, wizard. Now, the most important part for wizard is expanding and replacing a spellbook. This is what gives wizards their utility, as in they have contingencies for everything by making their spellbook very large.
The spells you have that you add to your spellbook as you gain levels reflect your ongoing magical research. When you find other spells during your adventures that you can add to the book, you could discover a wizard spell scroll, for example, and then copy it into your spellbook.
Copying a spell into the book. When you find a level 1 wizard spell, you can copy it in your spellbook if it's of a level you can prepare, and if you have the time to copy it, for example, not in the middle of combat. For each level of the spell, the transaction takes 2 hours and costs 50 GP. Afterwards, you can prepare the spell like any other spell in your spellbook, expanding your spellbook.
Indeed. And then, copying the book, you can copy a spell from your spellbook into another book.
Oh my god.
This is like copying a new spell into your spellbook, but faster. Since you already know how to cast a spell, you need only spend 1 hour and 10 gold pieces for each level of the copied spell. If you lose the spellbook, you can use the same procedure to transcribe the wizard spells that you prepared into a new spellbook. Filling out the remainder of the new book requires you to find new spells for you to do. For this reason, many wizards keep a backup spellbook.
So many spells. This is the wizard ability that makes the wizard so beloved, right? Having that big spellbook. The best time you're going to find more spells is when you either find scrolls, or you find, like in lots of the adventures, the pre-written adventures, for example, you're going to find like a spell book. You can start transcribing spells over to your spell book and having a whole host of spells up to the 400 spells I think there are in the D&D Player's Handbook and other accessories and books and supplements.
But I cannot stress this enough. It's a rather tedious process.
It's long and it requires lots of financial help.
Investment.
Now let's continue on to level 1, Ritual Adept. You can cast any spell as a ritual if that spell has a ritual tag on it and the spell is in your spellbook. You needn't have the spell prepared, but you must read the book to cast spells in this way. So here's a bit of a change because a lot of spellcasters now can use the ritual spells.
Indeed.
It's not just wizards anymore, but wizards have more and can still do that better.
At level 1, you have Arcane Recovery. You can regain some of your magical energy by studying your spellbook. When you finish a short rest, you can choose expanded spell slots to recover. The spell slots can have a combined level equal to no more than half your wizard level rounded up, and none of the slots can have a level 6 or higher. For example, if you're a level 4 wizard, you can recover up to 2 levels worth of spell slots, regaining either 1 level 2 spell slot or 2 level 1 spell slots. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest.
Okay, well this is a very nice way at lower levels to keep your spell slots high when you're going on a dungeon crawl and so on and so forth.
Indeed.
At level 2, you get Scholar. While studying magic, you have also specialized in another field of study. Choose one of the following skills in which you have prepared: Arcana, History, Investigation, and so forth. You have expertise in the chosen skill.
Indeed. This is all right. More proficiencies are always definitely of an advantage, but I don't know. Level 2 ability, it's just sort of fine.
Agreed.
At level 3, you get your wizard subclass, as you get with all classes in the D&D 2024 Player's Handbook.
At first, you get Abjurer. Arcane Ward can now be refilled directly using spell slots, and you get Counterspell and Dispel Magic as always prepared, and you don't lose them if you fail the spell.
You also have Diviner, largely the same, although the third eye gives 120 feet of dark vision and the ability to cast See Invisibility without a spell slot, but loses ethereal sight.
And you have Evoker comes back, Potent Cantrip and Sculpt Spells have swapped places. Potent Cantrip now applies to misspells attacks as well as successful saving throws.
And then Illusionist. You can ignore verbal components for illusion spells, and you can cast Minor Illusion as a bonus action. Get Summon Beast and Summon Fae as always prepared spells that can be cast once per long rest without expending a spell slot.
And of course, we'll be covering all 4 of these wizard subclasses coming up this week on the channel, so get ready for that.
Indeed.
At level 5, you get Memorize Spell. Whenever you finish a short rest, you can study your spellbook and place one of your level 1 plus wizard spells prepared for your spellcasting feature with another level 1 plus spell from the book on a short rest. So this is a good way to keep contingencies ready to go and the spells you need on hand when you need them on hand.
Indeed. At level 18, you have Spell Mastery. You've achieved such mastery over certain spells that you can cast them at will. Choose a level 1 and a level 2 spell in your spellbook that have a casting time of an action. You always have those spells prepared, and you can cast them at their lowest level without expending a spell slot. To cast either spell at a higher level, you must expend a spell slot. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can study your spellbook and replace one of those spells with an eligible spell of the same level from the book.
Now, this is a level 18 ability,
Indeed.
so I'm not sure how potent it really is. Having a level 1 or 2 spell, some of those spells have okay utility. They may not have the magic that you're looking for, or the power, but they do get around the new spell limitation wherein when you cast a level spell, you can no longer cast another one the same turn. So you could do Misty Step, for example,
Indeed.
or some other spell, for example, Shield or Absorb elements, and then cast a fully leveled spell as well in the same turn.
And you're going to need those because your wizards are very squishy. At level 19, you get your epic boon as you do with all classes in the D&D 2024 Player's Handbook. The recommendation is the Boon of Spell Recall.
And level 20, you get signature spells. Choose 2 level 3 spells in your spellbook as your signature spells. You always have these spells prepared, and you can cast each of them once at level 3 without expending a spell slot. When you do so, you cannot cast them in this way again until you finish a short or long rest. To cast either spell at a higher level, you must expend a spell slot. Alright, so now you have level 1, 2, and 3 spells that you can cast without using a spell slot, so there's some good flexibility and some good power there. But you have to get to level 20 when you get there, yes. How potent will those spells be when you get to that level? That's to be seen.
It's a good question. Well, what do we think of the wizard?
I think that the wizard comes back from 2014 in a way that is largely unchanged.
Indeed.
Now, when you're talking about the 1D&D playtest, the UA had a very interesting take on the wizard wherein they could modify spells. They could change things in meta-magic ways, such as spells not requiring concentration or having longer durations, the damage type of spells. So I do wish this was a return from the 1D&D playtest. Unfortunately, it did not.
Agreed.
I understand the problem in that sorcerers would have been very upset because their signature moves, the meta magic, would have been undermined. But for me, I think that this makes wizards a little bit lower in power, even though they have unique spells in their spellbook, and they have a very, very large spellbook, the largest spellbook in all of D&D.
Indeed, I feel like the wizard is an incredible spellcaster, mainly because of the spells for which they have access to. However, now, with the D&D 2024 Player's Handbook, there are so many ways to get access to some of those very unique wizard spells. Not all of them, but certainly some of them with
Magical
different
secrets as
classes.
God, yes.
With different classes. So, I just feel as though this class, because it remains unchanged, it is always going to be a favorite, of course. But I don't think that the opportunity to really add and define the wizard in a new space was taken, which is a bit of a bummer.
As you've seen, of course, there's a big gap in abilities from, I think, mid-level teen, not even level teens, all the way to level 18.
Indeed.
You receive nothing. Of course, you have your subclasses, but of course, we are rating the main class here in our review. So, I would say that at lower levels, the wizard is very squishy and does not have many spells in comparison to other spellcasters, of course, until you start amplifying your spellbook. As you get higher levels, of course, tier 3 and 4 play, the wizard's power will, of course, increase tremendously, and there's many busted things that wizards can do.
If you make it
that far, you'll become a premier spellcaster. Now, keep in mind that you want to make sure at the table you are memorizing your spells as in here in your personal mind, so you don't take up a lot of time on your turns in and out of combat, and with that, you'll be totally fine. At lower levels, I'd probably give the wizard somewhere between maybe a C or a B. At higher levels, I think they can go from A to S, depending on how you build your spellbook and if it's big enough.
I agree. I think the wizard, because of the access to the spells that they have, is always going to be a B for me. But again, in higher levels of play, you certainly are getting to that A and S tier, especially depending on the conditions of your campaign.
Mm-hmm. And your spellbook.
Indeed.
Keep it in good condition and always clean the leather.
Thank you so much for watching. If you've been enjoying this content, please remember to smite that like button, ring that notification bell, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. We love engaging with all of you in the comments. If you would like to support us more directly, you can go over to fanrolldice.com, where you can get various accoutrements, magical math rocks, and other shiny accessories. We have a partnership with them so that you can type in code GG10 at checkout, get 10% off your order, and we'll get a little bit of a kickback so we can continue leveling up this awesome content we bring to all of you amazing viewers.
And you can also click the join button here on our YouTube homepage, become a member on our channel, become a Green Squire, Green Knight, Green Lord, get extra little benefits, and support us directly if you can. We would appreciate it. Otherwise, we still appreciate you. Excuse me, Wizard, how big is your spell book?
Mine's massive!
Massive!
Ah!